once I'm happy with where the lead vocals, the harmonies, the backgrounds, and the ad-libs are at, that's where I like to start getting creative with delay throws. So all of these here and these here, all the delay throws that I've selected for this song, and the way that I pick them is basically listen through the song, and if there's any areas where I feel like there's a gap, there's a space that could be filled with something nice to create some feeling and some atmosphere in the song, I'll basically get the scissor tool and just cut the word out or cut the end of the word out, copy and paste it up to a channel that's got my delay settings on it. Maybe add a fade so it kind of fades into the delay depending on how I want it to sound. And then I'll have a play around, get a nice delay sound going, and then, you know, go through the song and similarly just pick out parts that I think could work on that channel and just drag them up. And I like doing it like this, having a separate channel for it rather than using automation, because it allows me to quite freely just go through and just copy and paste words and phrases up to these channels and just see how they sound, and then I can delete them if I don't like them or keep the ones that I do like. So let me show you what is on this channel first of all. I will have originally just copy and pasted the settings from the lead vocal, so this is basically like a duplicated channel from the main lead, but then after sort of the main processing of the compression and the de-essing, etc., I will add the delay plugin. In this case, I've used H-Delay by Waves. Again, links in the description for all the Waves plugins I've used in this video. It's on a ping pong setting. I'm using the high pass and the low pass here as well. Not too much feedback, but a decent amount. Obviously the dry wet knob is on all the way wet because you don't want any of the dry signal coming through on this, because then you're going to create a duplicate of your lead vocal. So let me show you how this sounds, and I'll show you what else I added after this delay as well to kind of create the sound that I wanted. So I'm going to play this part with and without this delay on it, and you'll see just what this adds.
It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy.
Play this part here as well. For me, it just adds a really nice feel to the song. There's another one down here on this channel. Really like the way that it sounds. It just works. It just adds like a little touch, a little bit of ear candy to certain sections of the song. So as I said, I used H-Delay here. It's on a quarter note on the ping pong setting. But then after that, I've also added quite a big reverb on the end of this, and I've used the Valhalla Shimmer. I really like this reverb for just creating like a big sort of blanket of reverb over things. So I'll play you this in solo with and without this plugin. This is a really important part of creating the delay throw sound for me.
Tell me, baby. Tell me, baby.
So I think it kind of sets it back further in the mix, but just adds like a big kind of luscious vibe to the delay there. And then on this channel here, I've got a half a note delay, and in this case I've not used the ping pong setting. This is just on standard kind of mono setting on the delay here. As you can see, it's slightly more filtered than the previous one was, more of a low pass and a high pass on there. But then after that, I've also added the Real ADT plugin by Waves. And what this is doing is basically creating like a false double. So it's going to kind of spread it out in the stereo field somewhat. So let me play these, and I'll turn this off and on as well.
Do you think about me? Do you think about me? The way I think about you.
And then on the end of that as well, I've got the Valhalla Shimmer, very similar to the way that I just showed you. In fact, the settings are probably pretty much the same as on the previous delay that I showed you. So let me just solo the vocals here and just play you down here where I think this delay is really important.
Baby, do you think about me? Yeah, the way I think about you. Do you think about me still? Baby, do you think about me? Yeah, the way I think about you. Tell me what is real.
They're perhaps a little bit too loud. You know, I have adjusted the volume here a little bit just in this demonstration, just so you could hear it better on these earlier ones. It's probably a good idea to go through and automate these, make them louder in some places and quieter in others. But yeah, you get that idea. Let me just play what's going on here as well with these delays.
I never get tired of you. It's probably the way that you do me. My heart is on fire, oh yeah. Keep doing what you're doing to me. Oh yeah, what you doing to me. But I wonder if I'm gonna do it the way I do.
So for me, it's just a nice creative touch that just adds more feeling to the song. And when I take these out now, like when I've been showing you this demonstration of this song and these have been muted for the most part, it just sounds really empty. Maybe that's just because I'm used to it, but for me, whenever I hear vocals like this, I'm like, yeah, I need to put a delay there. There needs to be a delay there. So these are just nice creative touches to just add more interest and more vibe to a song. Now, similarly to those, I've also put in here what I call reverb throws. Although I'm not sure if that's the right term for them technically, but I don't really care. I call them reverb throws. But these are very similar to the delay throws here in the sense that it's just chopped up pieces from the verses and the BVs in this case. And then I've just basically put a huge reverb on the channel, but at 100% again. So there's no dry signal coming through. It's only the wet signal coming through. And yeah, I've just played around with these channels and just added different parts of the verse and the BVs up to these channels to just create sort of like a crescendo, like a big reverb on the end of certain words and certain phrases. Now, the way that I did this is slightly different because I actually bounced or exported the lead vocal as a sort of mixed vocal, and then I exported all of the harmonies and BVs as a mixed stem, and then re-imported them and used that. There's no reason why you have to do it that way. I just wanted all of the BVs in particular in one file so that I could just easily chop these up and create these big reverbs, and I didn't want to have to do it on all of these together, you know. So a good way of sort of adding these effects to all of your background vocals all together. You see how I've got like whatever 8 or 9 channels. Good way of doing that is to export that as a mixed stem and then bring it back in, and you can then chop up sort of like a mixed a cappella and create out of it these kind of effects. So I'll play you these in solo just so you can see what they're doing, and then we'll play them with the song, and hopefully you get an idea of why I chose to add these touches. So hopefully they don't make as much sense when the rest of the vocals aren't playing, so I'll play it with the rest of the vocals now and you'll see what it's doing. I'm just going to mute the ad-lib so you're just hearing the leads and the background vocals with these reverb throws on them.
You ready to play? Yeah, I never get tired of you. It's probably the way that you do me. My heart is on fire, oh yeah. Keep doing what you're doing to me. Oh yeah, what you doing to me. But I wonder if I'm gonna do you think about me the way you think about you still.
So it just really kind of drags the end of the word out into the next section, creates sort of like a transitional effect and also like a big crescendo kind of effect. And I really like this way of doing it. I know it may seem a little bit old school or a little bit, I don't know, a little bit complicated to do it this way, but this is the way that I like to do it, because then it also allows me, you know, I've got the full a cappella here for the lead verse, basically the full mixed vocal for the lead. And what it allows me to do is also on parts like this, so this is sort of like the little outro part of the lead vocal, it allows me to actually just leave the whole thing in, but I can come over here and select my gain, maybe turn it down a little bit on this part, but I basically use that reverb on the whole of this outro section just to add more reverb really quickly and really kind of in a very easily kind of customizable way, because I can chop out certain words that I don't want to be in that reverb tail.
Do you?
So these are the things I like to add to a song more toward the end of the mix. I mean, sometimes I'll do this in the middle of a mix as well. If I feel like the song just generally needs more vibe or more feeling around it, I might start playing around and adding some of these kind of delay throws and reverb tails in the middle of the mix or even at the start of a mix. But for a mix like this where there's quite a lot going on in terms of background vocals anyway, it wasn't really empty, so I didn't feel the need to do that. So I left it to the end, and then it was like, how can I spice this up a little bit more? And you really shouldn't neglect things like this. You know, these are things that can take your mix to the next level, adding things like this in. Also the automation, as I was saying, you know, don't be afraid to experiment and play around with automation, automating plugins, volume, panning, and everything like that. So yeah, that's how I added some creative touches to this song.